Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this event, the launch of Afrinvest 2023 Banking Sector Report. This will mark the 18th edition of our Banking Sector Report. It's also a very special event for us because, interestingly, in the audience is the author of the very first edition of our Banking Sector Report, Ms. Shruti Patel. Shruti, if you could stand up, please. I'd like to take you all on memory lane. Shruti, in 2005, Afrinvest was sort of a bifurcated firm because there's Afrinvest London and Afrinvest Nigeria. And the initial reports were being written in partnership with Afrinvest London under the name of SecTrust, our predecessor firm, because we were founded by SecTrust, converted then subsequently. That's another M&A transaction that happened in the past. But we would normally generate some of the underpinning analysis and then send it up to London, and they'll package it in a nice glossy format with all the commentary. And that was how the Banking Sector Report was launched. And this one was written on the back of, you recall, the Banking Sector Consolidation, which the then Central Bank Governor, Chukwuma Soludo, had orchestrated. And we had written a report about the implications for the industry at that time. So here we are, 17th edition since then, and we are delighted to be launching this year's report. We have to start on time because we have people who are online who have registered for this event. I'm told that the minister and his delegation are on their way, but they will meet us in the middle of this event. So I have a written speech. I'll try to add some of it. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to welcome you to the launch of our 18th edition of the Afrinvest Banking Sector Report. Afrinvest is an institution that's been around for nearly 3 decades. Today, we can be best described as a capital markets holding company with businesses across 7 verticals now. It used to be 6 until I was reminded there's the 7th one I have not been including. We have the investment banking business, Afrinvest Capital Limited. We have trustee business, Afrinvest Trustees. We have the securities business, Afrinvest Securities Limited. We have our asset management business, Afrinvest Asset Management Limited. We have our technology business, Andromeda Technology Solutions. We have launched an app called Optimus by Afrinvest, through which you can invest and save in Naira and in dollars. We have our research business, Afrinvest Consulting Limited, are the owners of the Banking Sector Report, and they've been working very hard to make this day possible. And of course, the 7th vertical, which we have yet to announce publicly because we're waiting for the SEC to approve our prospectus, which is AAA Infrastructure Nigeria Limited. Some of you might recall that Afrinvest is one of 4 asset managers mandated by Infrastructure Corporation of Nigeria, which had launched a 1 trillion Naira infrastructure fund, of which we're getting a quarter of that as the asset manager, and then to launch our infrastructure vehicle. So from our platform, we pretty much cover investments, whether you're putting 5,000 Naira in the savings account with Optimus, or you're looking at 50 billion Naira for a major infrastructure project in Nigeria today. Our annual banking sector report, the history of it is to provide a deep dive into what is really happening in the banking sector, but context it against the background of the macroeconomic developments we see in the society. Our objective is to unravel all the important issues, highlight risks and opportunities, and then recommend remedial actions as necessary. In so doing, we expect that the untapped potential that remains in our banking and financial services, and indeed, the overall economy can be optimized. I would like to remind you that last year, in October, we launched the 2022 Banking Sector Report and aptly titled it Brace for Impact. And on the cover was, passengers on an airline, bracing for impact as they expect that the plane was going to crash any moment. And then this year, the plane crashed. And we're all feeling the impact with the removal of the subsidy, the regulation of the Naira, all the things we predicted were going to happen last year, because we realized that regardless of which politician won, whether it was Tinubu or Peter Obi or Atiku, that they could not continue in the way they had been doing for so many years. But even despite writing the report, we ourselves were just as shocked as everyone as the pain, the difficulty of the impact. And, we've all had to sort of readjust our lifestyles. Now that petrol is costing 4 times as much, we don't go out as much as we should be. So, just a bit of context. I won't bore you too much of the data in the financial services, because that will be taking the job of a lot of people that are here who are going to speak. But suffice it to say that we believe that some of the early actions already taken by the present government signals a new perspective of where they want to take the economy. But it still requires a lot of comprehensive work. We believe that further work needs to be done, which was what has encouraged us to title this report, Getting Nigeria to Work Again. But getting Nigeria to work again will require a lot of collaborative effort from not just the government, but also from the private sector. Because in trying to push the economy, you're looking at multiple cycles that are running independent of themselves, which need to be synchronized, both from the monetary policy point of view, from the fiscal policy point of view, from the revenue side, when you look at NMPC and what's happening in the oil and gas sector, from the debt side, from the financing picture, when you look at what the debt management office is coping with, and the fact that even with the recently passed supplementary budget of 2 trillion, nobody has explained to us how the money is coming in, because last we learned, the central bank had been printing money for the government. So when we know that the revenue is finished, how are we able to do a supplementary budget without knowing the source of the income? But I'm sure the minister would explain all this detail in due course once he shows up here. I see somebody from the Ministry of Finance Incorporated. So I will let him walk in quietly and pretend I'm not the MC and finish my closing remarks. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, that's Dr. Armstrong Takang, Managing Director of Ministry of Finance Incorporated. Dr. Armstrong, I was just talking about you, and you walked in, so your guardian angels are really working overtime. But I've already set you up for many, many questions. So thank you and welcome. And so on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you again to this event. And it promises to be a very interactive but informative session about what's happening in the economy, and at which point later on would unveil our new banking sector report. Thank you very much indeed.